Good morning and welcome to The Power Within. I'm Willie G. Over the next half hour, expect to be motivated by some inspiring mothers. On today's show, Kismia Nodia tells us how she used entrepreneurship to empower herself as a single mother. And we find out how integrative medicine helps those with a chronic disease. Born and raised in Bonteheuwel, Kismia Nodia grew up in a community which struggled with gangsterism, drugs, and teenage pregnancy. As the eldest of 8 children, she learned to be responsible from an early age, which served her well throughout her life.
My mom is from a traditionally very strict Muslim family. Basically, we used to call her the dictator because we couldn't go anywhere. Not because that she didn't want to give us our freedom, but she was scared that we might meet up with the wrong friends, become gangsters, and so she had a tight rein over us. As a child, I had to basically be the mother, the big sister, and I also had to do my studies. So as a youngster, I can remember going way far back from Standard 1. I used to stand on a little chair and cook. I used to look after my little brothers and sisters at home, and my mom used to go and work. And all of that responsibility made me grow up very quickly. I always knew that somehow I didn't belong. That I knew from a very, very, very young age. So I always kept searching in my mother's handbags, etc., because my mom registered me on my stepfather's surname, and somehow I saw my birth certificate, and that had a very big impact on me. It was a big thing for me not to know where I come from. I had to confront my mother. She eventually told me, that my father was from Indonesia, and that she had lost contact, she didn't know where he was. But she gave me some details, and I started a search. And eventually I ended up with a Dutch-Indonesian company, and they're actually busy trying to find him, because he was in the military. We were still in the apartheid era, and I met a young gentleman. I fell in love, and then I fell pregnant. And here I was pregnant in the apartheid era of a white boy, and I was very scared when I fell pregnant. He wanted me to be with him, to support me during the pregnancy. So he was working in Durban at that stage, and he asked my mom if I could come and live with him in Durban, and I did that. Went down there for probably about 3-4 months, but I think the pressure was hectic because we were always stopped by police, asked questions, and I was very scared of being locked up. And then decided to give him up, come back home and have my baby and continue my life without him. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, was to give him up and have a baby on my own. I didn't plan for that.
After the break, Kismia tells us how she tackled the corporate world as a single mom. Welcome back to The Power Within. Kismia Nordia eventually got married and had 2 more children. Determined to succeed, she rose through the ranks of various corporations and invested in her education. In 1994, she was fired and her marriage crumbled soon thereafter. Now a single mother, Kismia was forced to go it alone.
My core business is services, and in the industry it's called soft services. It's cleaning, hygiene, pest control, light maintenance services, plant rental, etc. Anything to do with the maintaining of a building. Started out of my flat in Mowbray. I remember at the time I had no car. Lost my house, was fired from my corporate job and started from my flat. Where I am now is, I think that my sons have learned a lot from me. They've worked alongside me for the last 8 to 10 years. And in the last 2 years, I've taken a more background role as to being involved in the operations of the business. It's for them to take further now. I've built it up to there, and I've taught them the business operations. They started as pest control guys. They started as cleaners. They know what it's like to take the mop, to get stuck into the business if they need to do that. So they just didn't walk in and walked in at management. They started right at the bottom.
Like every boss you work for, you always have your ups and downs, you always have your disagreements, but in the end we always come through as a family. And when we do make our decisions, it will always be for the better of the company and for the family.
And then most definitely we can have a very strong meeting, where words go, but after the meeting I go home, mom's mom. She'll never bring work home with her and say, well, you didn't do well in this, or whatever, there was an issue at work and now you bring it home. The moment she gets home, mom's mom. And you only realize when you really become a man what she's actually done for you and the respect that you actually have for her. But taking those sacrifices, building a business, and she always tells us, we're building this business, I'm not building this business for me. I'm building it to leave a legacy for yourself and your children. And that's what we firmly believe.
I'm very committed to growing women in South Africa, not just entrepreneurs, anybody in their life. If they want to grow in their personal life in terms of them personally, in making them stronger to handle whatever they are faced with in life. So I'm involved a lot with young individuals, young entrepreneurs, just young people that want to better themselves. And I head up an organisation in the Western Cape called Women in Finance. It's a group of women. We originally started as Women in Finance, but we accept anybody in any industry to join us. So we've recently, about a month ago, changed the name to Business Engage, and it incorporates Women in Finance. We run a training program for women to be on boards, and we have an incubator where we place all these women in this incubator. So if corporates are looking to place women on boards, that they can actually come into this incubator and select women that they feel is applicable in their industry and to serve on their boards. A couple of years ago, I got involved with the Way to Happiness campaign. It's a campaign where we deal with school children. It's a little booklet that I get corporates to sponsor. It's little precepts like keep your body clean, keep your area clean, do not steal, do not tell lies, those kind of precepts. I believe that if kids or youngsters, teenagers follow that, you will have happiness in your life. So I'm very passionate about it. We go into schools and communities to do that. encourage them to do an essay, and then we choose the 3 essays that we feel has a lot of impact on the community, not just on the individual, but on the community itself. And I get companies to sponsor books or educational stuff to further their career at school. I've always been drawn to country life. I mean, I was born in the city. I don't know where that comes from, but I've always been drawn to country life. So I live out in Durbanville, which started off as a real country area 12, 13 years ago. It's beautiful. I call it food for the soul. It is just so relaxed, laid back. There's no sounds of cars, taxis, people shouting. It's just pure bliss out here where I am.
Offering patients the best of all worlds, integrative medicine allows practitioners to draw on allopathic, complementary and alternative medicine when offering treatment. This way, it's an individualized and holistic treatment plan.
Integrative medicine is a holistic view of looking at the patient. It's looking at the patient in a different way to the conventional idea, and we're looking at the perspective of physical, spiritual, energetic, information aspects all rolled into one. It's not just a question of what the doctor says the patient must do. We like to get feedback from the patient and work together as a team to work out the most appropriate therapy for that patient. The therapies are going to involve as much in a sense of being as natural as possible and as safe as possible. Occasionally one might have to use drugs, but we like to use natural therapies, and you'll find some doctors have more of a leaning to one particular kind or another, but whatever is incorporated, it's all to the patient's best interest to try and get the improvement in the condition. Integrative medicine also focuses more on health and restoring balance to the body, rather than focusing on treating disease. My approach generally is to, first of all, assess. I would send out a questionnaire to the patient, usually by email, and get them to fill it out, which gives me a lot of their background. Then when I see the patient, I need to try and work out in what areas the problems lie. Are we dealing with the immune system? Are we dealing with liver problems, gut problems? And we need to sometimes do some tests to evaluate where the problems might lie. I often like to do a live blood analysis, which gives one a perspective of looking at the blood there with the patient. But there are other more conventional tests that we need to do as well too, in order to build up a picture of where things are going wrong before we can even start looking at making changes. There you see a white blood cell. The healing potential of the body is enormous. In homeopathy, we talk about the vital force. In Indian medicine, they talk about prana. In Chinese medicine, they talk about qi. This healing force within the body is enormously strong. And the problem is that there are obstacles that get in the way. A young child whose system is relatively pure has a wonderful vital healing force. They heal quickly, they generally get better quickly. An adult who's been exposed to a lot of Western lifestyle, a lot of pollution, self-pollution, bad eating habits, lots of stress, all those become obstacles which then get in the way. And our job is to try and identify those obstacles and to remove the obstacles to allow the healing force to take over and to provide the healing. Integrative medicine really is very effective for chronic disease. Acute conditions are very well dealt with by conventional medicine, but chronic disease, allergies, chronic fatigue, all these hormonal imbalances, those are the kind of things that are not well dealt with, and integrative medicine really has good results with that. A lot of the women's issues that we deal with often involve hormones, either female hormones or thyroid hormones, and we have a lot of success with using bioidentical hormones, which are available in creams, which are so much better absorbed and utilized by the body as opposed to the synthetic hormones, and a very much safer way of using hormones to balance hormones in females. Having worked overseas over the last couple of years, I've realized that South Africans generally are far more health conscious than many other people. And I think generally the South African population is rapidly learning that there are better ways of doing things than just relying on drugs and controlling symptoms.
Over the last decade, there is no doubt that blogging has boomed. While some have managed to turn this pastime into a full-time career, and others have written blog-inspired books, the average blogger just relishes the opportunity to share their thoughts and interests with like-minded readers.
Well, blogging is a sort of forum for people who want to share their inspirations and their creativity on a space on the internet. And what it is that there's different types of bloggers. There's people who do fashion bloggers, there's people who do interior blogs, cooking blogs, and then there's also people who are called mommy bloggers. My blog is called Becoming You, and the idea behind the name was that I'm a mum, and I realized in this sort of stage of very small children, both of my children are under 5, I realized that you tend to forget who you are as a person, as a woman, so I wanted to remind other women about who they were. The way I first promoted my blog was through my own personal Facebook page to try and, garner readers who might be interested in me because they know me. And then from there I started a Twitter account, and slowly the numbers grow. Another way that's been really good for me to gain readers is actually I've hosted various competitions. So once a month I have a competition on my site, and to enter they have to like my Facebook page, and that way then my newsfeed will appear on their Facebook page, and slowly, it will grow via word of mouth. What's been great about blogging is it's opened my eyes to look around me and see the inspiration in everyday life. So I have a particular post that I write every Monday, which is called Weekend Wanderings, which is where I put photographs up of whatever we've done on the weekend to inspire other families to maybe get out and about and do things differently on a weekend. The initial costs are you need to have a domain name and you need to have a hosting company, and then the other costs could be that you might want to get a graphic designer or a web designer to design your logo or your layout of your blog. It's a great creative outlet. I've really enjoyed that part of blogging because it's got me to think more creatively when I go out, and it's opened my eyes to a lot of things that I could maybe do with my children, crafts. So it's been really interesting just to also read other blogs and then take from their blogs something back to my own personal life which I can implement. And it's been great to get the feedback from my readers to say, this was really great, thanks for this, or that's quite nice to hear. For me, it's been so good for my self-esteem and for my sort of confidence, and my husband can see that I've really gotten a lot of benefit from it in terms of giving me some value in my life and something that I've really enjoyed doing. So that's been great because it's helped me to have some chance to practice my writing, to learn about the marketing aspect, to approach different companies who potentially want to host a competition or a giveaway on my site. And I'm hoping that this will be a sort of online CV of my experience and my capabilities, and one day it will lead to something, who knows.
Over the last few years, we've been inspired and motivated by hundreds of dynamic women who have tapped into their inner power to shape their communities, drive change, and live the lives of their dreams. We've handpicked some of our favorite profiles and put together the Power Within Companion, a collection of our most inspiring stories. Look out for the Power Within Companion at bookstores nationwide, or you can visit our website to read more and place your order. When we return, Sally Thorpe tells us how we can ensure that we make positive connections with our children. Children don't come with a user's manual, so we have to rely on our own upbringing and the wisdom of others as we attempt to raise them. Today, Sally Thorpe reminds us that what we don't say to our children is just as important as what we do.
Parenting in the 21st century is very different to parenting when we were growing up. And as parents, we're facing many various challenges, and we need to realize as well that not one size fits all. Within a family, even if we have 2 to 3 children, each child is going to need different things from us and will respond differently to the way we interact with them. Communication is vital in our interactions in our family and with our peers and with our friends and with our colleagues. And more importantly, the way we interact with our children is fundamental in creating the extent to which they believe they have value and worth in the world. In other words, their self-esteem. Communication, it plays a number of roles in either verbal communication or non-verbal communication. And what is helpful to remember as parents is that when we communicate with our children verbally, we need to be asking ourselves, are our words breaking our children or are they building our children? And as such, we need to be cognizant of those words that we actually use. Non-verbal communication is also really important because we can read so much into how we're feeling and how we're thinking through our non-verbal communication, and our children pick up those cues. So whether it is rolling the eyes or sighing or not really listening, our children are going to be taking that information in. Another very important aspect of communication is listening. So often our children are wanting to just share with us what it is that they are thinking, they're feeling, what they're going through. And what we immediately are wanting to do as parents is to fix whatever it is that they are facing. And if we listen to understand, instead of trying to fix, that can go a long way to helping our children sort out their own problems, to feel supported and to feel cared for.
On the next episode of The Power Within, with 15 years of radio experience behind her, we chat to Sugar about the pressures that come with sustaining success. We have tips on getting organized if your life is in shambles, and the DIY Diva shows us how to make a storage ottoman. And with that, we've come to the end of this week's show. If you have an interesting blog, feel free to drop us your link on our Spirit Sister Productions Facebook page and join our interactive online community. Until next time, remember that you too can live the life of your dreams. Just switch on the power within you.